A lot of implications here. Georgia can clinch the SEC East division title with a win here. Ole Miss has won 5 straight since losing to Alabama. They still have some small SEC West hopes here. They're still alive. They'd have to win this game. Bama would have to lose twice, right?
Yeah.
So very small SEC West hopes. I think you're going to see Carson Beck continue his kind of ascent in his Heisman odds this week. He's been one of the most efficient QBs in the country. Ole Miss is 104th in the country in completion percentage allowed.
Oof.
I think Georgia is going to have success through the air against Ole Miss. And then I think they'll be able to wear him down late with Dejon Edwards and Kendall Milton. If Ole Miss wants to win this game, I think turnovers are going to be key. And Quinshon Judkins is going to have a game going on the ground. And that would lead to play action for Jaxson Dart. Georgia, as good as their defense is, they haven't exactly been what they've been over the last few years when it comes to sacking the quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're not as worried about that this year with that defense. And Ole Miss has been hitting explosive plays. I think they're 3rd in the country in explosive plays. Georgia needs to stop that. Luckily, they're 12th in stopping explosive plays. I just think with this atmosphere at night, it's just one of those situations where you just, over the last few years, you have not seen Georgia under-deliver in games like this.
No.
I don't think Ole Miss can pull this off. The line is interesting. It was at 11, and now it's like you can get it at 10.5 at some books. I would probably, if I was going to bet on this game, I'd probably take Ole Miss if the line stays over 10. But if it gets to 10, I'd probably take Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say gut feel Georgia 35, Ole Miss 21, which I know is more than the 10. But I think if I was officially going to bet on it, I'd probably wait till it got to 10 if it does. Because I just don't see a scenario where Georgia doesn't win by more than 10 in my mind. I mean, So I got 35-21.
So Lane Kiffin is 4-23 all time against teams that have finished in the top 25 as a head coach. Then you look at, so I brought it up with a couple of teams we've already previewed, but I'll do it again here because I think it stands out a lot. Ole Miss is a really, really good offense. They're a really good team, I think. Pete Golding's done a lot with that defense, I think, this year, and more than people probably wanted to give him credit for going into the year and probably still do. Ole Miss on the road in Athens at night. Georgia is coming off, obviously, like 2 very big games for them with the rivalry against Florida, then also what they did against Mizzou last week. They have another one still in waiting in the wings against Tennessee. But Georgia at home, right? Like I just told you about Lane Kiffin and what it does against top 25 teams. Lane Kiffin and this offense, they have averaged 20 points less per game on the road this season and almost 175 yards less per game on the road versus at home. You look at their last 8 games away from Vaught Hemingway Stadium, it's littered with a lot of losses. They have a win at Tulane. They got one against Vandy, and they got one against 5-7 A&M last year. Not super impressive, right? They beat Auburn this year as well. But those are all teams that are right at 500 or below 500 over the past couple seasons. This past season. I don't think that Ole Miss is able to go on the road and get a shocking victory. I will tell you the key to this game for Ole Miss, in my opinion, is Ulysses Bentley. If you're looking for like a player that I think has to have a breakout game, I don't think that Georgia's going to struggle to shut down Tre Harris for 60 straight minutes because we haven't seen a receiver really go off against them in the past couple of years, besides Marvin Harrison in that first quarter. I don't think they're going to struggle to stop the run for 60 straight minutes, especially with an in-between the tackles type runner with Quinshon Judkins. But look for Ole Miss early and often in this game to try to use Ulysses Bentley in like wheel routes and take a page out of that 2020 Florida game. And I think that's what Lane Kiffin will probably try to do is, I wouldn't say trick plays, but some stuff that Georgia might not be familiar with, get players running all over the place in space. I still think Georgia wins this game because I think they're probably the best team in the country the way they play in closeout seasons. I got Georgia 38, Ole Miss 27.